Hi everyone, welcome to Values. So today I want to talk about the MJ stocks and MJ sector because things are obviously taking off in this area. Tilray itself has gone up 40%, which is pretty incredible, giving a valuation of $6.7 billion. And yeah, the biggest question is, why are these stocks going up so much? It's because everything's becoming relevant again. Legislation is heading in these guys' favor. So in the US, there's a lot of states, like recently Virginia just legalized, and now you have a whole government that's going, should we be legalizing nationally, which I think it has a really high potential of happening, which basically a rising tide lifts all boats, and basically any company in this sector is doing pretty well, including Tilray here, and Aphria, Canopy Growth. You just look at these companies and go, yeah, which one isn't going up? But of course, we want to try to pick something that's undervalued, of course. And I feel like this Aphria play is potentially undervalued because you have Tilray, which is at $6.7 billion, and you have Aphria, which is at 7.5, where while Aphria has something like 5 times more revenue, and it's very similar revenues to Canopy Growth, except their margins and their growth rates aren't as good. But I feel like if you're merging Tilray and Aphria together, and you create the largest global company based on a revenue basis with 685 million in revenue, while Canopy Growth, which we can assume around about 600 million because their 9-month financials were 439 million. Add another quarter onto that, and it's roughly about 600 million. So these two companies who are merging together, if they have, if they have about an 18 billion valuation, which would probably make sense, their merger percentages in terms of shares, Tilray will get 38% of the shares, Aphria will get 62% of the shares. So basically, it creates a situation that, hey, Tilray, if these two companies were to combine and create an 18 billion valuation, Tilray would be worth 7 billion, which roughly it's trading at right now, and Aphria would be worth about 11 billion. So you can kind of see where the difference in this situation is, that potentially Aphria is undervalued based on this situation where they're at 7.5 and they could potentially be worth about 11 if we were to say that this merger, once done, would have a post-merger valuation of $18 billion, which would catch up with the current big player Canopy Growth. Then yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it? But that's just me being very mathematical in this area. Potentially Tilray is too high and it comes down, and same with Canopy Growth, or I'm right and Aphria is undervalued in comparison to those two, because on the merger basis it should be worth much higher than the 7.5. So yeah, I think it's as straightforward as that. There's not really anything too complicated. It's just like they're merging. Aphria gets 62% of the shares, and basically, yeah, there's a value difference. Of course, Tilray's moved much more because they recently just announced that they're selling into the UK, and also they recently announced they're selling into Spain, Portugal, France, Germany. So you can imagine this company is going into a lot of places, and it's going to have the backing of Aphria, who's got the facilities to just continue to ramp up. And once these two companies combine, there's going to be economies of scale. Also, Canopy Growth, they've also mentioned that next financial year they could be profitable, which they imagine, I guess it's about 600 million or plus to start to get into this break-even to profitable situation, which also puts Aphria and Tilray, once they combine, in a very similar boat. So this combined company, which will be named Tilray once they combine, will basically, they'll basically have a situation next year or something like that where they could be break even to profitable as well. So I think this sector is starting to consolidate, and it's starting to create a situation where it's actually worthy of investing because the fundamentals are there that these companies are actually sustainable going forward, and also legislation is moving in their favor. So it's kind of the whole situation of a rising tide lifts all boats, and I believe if you invest in the top two, so even if it's not Tilray and Aphria, it could be Canopy Growth, but I'm looking at Aphria and going, there's a large value difference between all of these, that potentially Aphria is offering some potentially good value on an arbitrage basis, but of course it comes with risks, but I think you can do the calculations yourself and go, actually something doesn't add up. If Tilray's up that much, should Aphria catch up as well? And yeah, I think this year is going to be an extraordinary year for the sector. That's why I'm looking at this as well, because I did some research around it, and I can see things going well. Originally I didn't quite like it because I thought the risk was too high, competition was too high, these companies were losing a lot of money, but I think that's kind of changed around. Legislation starting to head in their favor, they're consolidating, margins going in their favor, and they potentially look at break even to profitable in the next 12 to 24 months, especially for the big players. Like, I mean, for the small players, they'll continue to burn cash. Basically, there's a big hint that, hey, it takes at least 600 to 700 million in revenue to start to look at that break even point. Unless you're a really small player and you can keep costs down, then that also works too. But anyone looking to expand as much as these guys are, I think they will also look at the similar cash burn, which, you know, these guys have done the hard yards and are going to be incredible competitors for anyone trying to enter their space as well. So yeah, I feel like there's an opportunity here. It's hard to quantify the valuations for these companies because it's such a competitive industry. It's just like the EV situation. It's an upcoming situation, but sometimes you can't quantify it because you don't have projections of where this can go. With the EVs, like potentially, they give you presentations of how much revenue they think they can do, but for these companies, they've been here long enough that they don't actually even know themselves. Without the right legislation in their favor, they don't know how big their market size actually is until legislation is there, and maybe in the future they can give predictions. So right now I think it's just a lot of people buying in, hoping that they don't miss the boat. And the question is this valuation alright for like Canopy? I feel like 18 billion is alright. I feel like if you're the largest player, you're doing 600 million in revenue, and everything is in your favor, especially this year and all the years going forward, then yeah, I think there's a lot of growth and potential behind this that it would warrant such a high valuation. And yeah, I'd say the same thing with Tilray and all that as well. That these two players are going to be global players, not just based in like US or Canada, but they'll be in Europe and all that as well. And as things continue to grow, I think there's more acceptance for these products, and also these guys are heading into like drinks as well, so it's not just like the singular product. There's actually a broad range. Potentially these two set up as like the Coca-Cola and Pepsi of this industry, so hence why it's worth watching. But I mean, if you're not comfortable investing in this sector, you don't have to. There's always different opportunities in other areas as well. But I thought, I saw this and I kind of thought there's a value difference of Aphria. Potentially, if you're interested in this space, that's a potential opportunity that I'm seeing anyway. But comment below, or if you've got any questions, ask away. Until then, good luck investing, everyone.